Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us on Comics from the Future. This is our weekly FOC show, our final order cutoff show, where we're going to show you a bunch of covers, a bunch of comics, new series, and all that are coming out that you're going to want to pre-order with your local comic shop. It might be us. And if so, thank you. I'll let Jason introduce who we are.
Okay, I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Megan.
And we're all with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
You can see we
got the giggles today.
A lot better after 1,000 subscribers. Speaking of which, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do that before we get into things today. We would really appreciate it. Grow our comic family, and if you like these videos, it really just helps and encourages us to continue making them. So, if you've done that, we can start. All right, let's go. We also have some really cool screens, new screens that Andy made for us that are going to highlight different sections of the show. And as you can see, we are doing our featured comics first.
It's a very nice looking heroic figure there with an infinity symbol on his chest. Just wanted to point that out.
So first off is a book that we've long anticipated. It was supposed to be solicited weeks ago. It's finally here. King Spawn #1. This is the first official ongoing Spawn title since his debut back in 1992. I guess they considered like Curse of Spawn and Dark Ages and all of those.
Very long miniseries.
Very long miniseries with many parts. But this is cool because this is kind of, since we've had Spawn Universe, Todd McFarlane is branching Spawn out into multiple things. Where in a few weeks we'll be talking about Gunslinger Spawn, but this is the first one. So there's actually not a lot of information about the storyline of this. If you look it up, everything is about like, this is the first Spawn thing since Spawn #1, and you know, it's all these covers and everything. But I actually looked ahead to the solicitation for #2 to kind of try to figure out what's going to be going on in this. So it does look like we're having the return of Kincaid, probably the most vile villain in all of Spawn's rogues gallery, because he's got quite a few now. But it looks like they're going to be kind of touching on some of those older characters and stories, moving Spawn forward, and maybe we'll find out how he becomes king.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, the whole kingdom thing.
I'm also very curious about, the regular Spawn is not stopping. This is going to be running parallel with it. Is this a different Spawn? Is this a different timeline? Different universe? I'm not sure. But it'll be exciting to see. This is going to be a oversized first issue. We've got the main cover here with, this is the Jay Lee cover. Then we have, of course, he's got to do it. This is the Todd McFarlane cover. Yep. Heavy as the crown. So you just take it off and you put it at your feet.
Stare your sword.
Then we have the David Finch cover. Really cool. We have the Sean Murphy.
So if that cover indicates anything, I mean, they're at least in a timeline with guns. That would at least mean King Spawn isn't like back in medieval days.
I don't think they're playing off the like King Conan thing. I feel like this is pretty like running alongside the regular Spawn series.
Maybe Spawn just takes over some little country.
Then we have the, I believe this is the Capullo.
Yep.
So he's getting back all of his artist friends that have worked on Spawn in the past.
Yep. We
have the Brett Booth cover, who is actually going to be the artist on Gunslinger Spawn coming up. And finally, this one a lot of people have been talking about. This is the Donny Cates cover. Donny Cates actually got to draw a cover for King Spawn. It's inked by Todd McFarlane, so you can see a lot of, especially if you look at the pillar that he's holding on to, there's a lot of McFarlane little scratchy notes that are very distinct of his. But it's really cool. Donny Cates said, that's like one of the big things that got him into comics was Spawn, and he never imagined he would get to draw a cover for it. So this is really cool.
Yeah, Cates did a cover for Venom as well. It was like a 1 in 500. It was not a lot of people were able to order it, but it was cool. I mean, if you're creative enough, you might not have like the chops of the people who do it nonstop, but you could still come up with that neat perspective, that neat angle like he did there.
And, he said he's been a big fan, and even I almost feel like that's why we haven't seen Spawn and crossover yet, because it's like that is the pinnacle of the crossover series, is
What
when
it's
Spawn
building to.
is in it. Because he even references that about, hinting at Spawn and crossover.
Yeah.
All right, dust off those old Darkhawk number ones you've been collecting, because Darkhawk now has a new miniseries out. Except this is an all-new Darkhawk featuring Connor Young. So he's all-new Darkhawk. He's a 17-year-old basketball superstar. Can't relate. Until a surprising medical diagnosis changes his life, obviously. But he discovers an amulet that gives him surprising powers. So that's the premise of this miniseries. It's going to be a 5-parter. And one of the big takeaways, at least for me, is that it's written by Kyle Higgins. So, and honestly, like, even just reading the solicitation, a lot of it kind of gave me hopes for, Radiant Black is so good, so hopefully, I'm sure the writing style is going to be similar with this. I mean, it's the same guy. So, anyway, looking forward to this mini-series, and this is the A cover for it. Then we have the Ron Lim cover coming up in just a second here. There we go. And then the U cover.
I'm interested that Marvel has made a new Darkhawk. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be that character's first appearance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to grab a ton of them because they keep tantalizing that they're doing stuff with Darkhawk. Now, why they're not keeping the original Darkhawk, I don't know, but...
Yeah, I don't remember where last we left him. He's had a couple of one-shots,
He went
couple
to
of miniseries.
space a lot.
Yeah.
He ended up in space and with the Guardians of the Galaxy quite a bit. But where he ended up in the end, I don't know. So... But I'm pretty interested in this.
Yeah.
All right, so next up for Marvel, we have Extreme Carnage Riot. They've been doing the one-shots that link in all the Extreme Carnage storylines. It's an 8-part storyline. I think this one is going to be part 5, if I'm not mistaken. So Carnage seems to be building a small army of these Life Foundation symbiotes. And by that, I mean, Scream, Phage. And so now it's Riot's turn. The main thing is what Carnage's ultimate goal is a mystery. I mean, it says it in the solicitation. I know, I've been reading it. I've been trying to figure out, okay, I see he's making these moves. It's like watching a chess match, but you don't really understand the pattern. It's like, how are they going to get the king this way?
Yeah.
So, but that is intentional. You're not supposed to understand. You're supposed to read and kind of, I guess, be surprised in the end of what he's doing. So that's what's going on. And of course, this one is going to star the Life Foundation symbiote Riot. So this is the A cover. Then we have the Johnson connecting variant, and which I guess connects with the other trading cards. And then lastly, the Scotty Young variant, where I'm glad that Young, he's popular enough that he's written his own ticket to get to have the covers where the people talk on them. Yeah. I like those. I liked them in classic. When I was a kid, that was in the comics that were a little before my generation. So I thought those were, the hard ones to get. So I'm glad to see somebody's doing it, even if it's in a comical way.
And what's interesting is, like with the other covers, and we were talking about it back when we did Phage, all of them, like their heads and like shoulders are red, like they've been infected with Carnage. Right. Because Riot in general looks like that without the red. So
without the red,
it's like he's slowly controlling them.
Yeah, and of course their hosts don't necessarily like this at all.
Yeah.
So
next up is the next installment of the Marvel Voices. This is Marvel Voices Identity, and this is celebrating the greatest Asian superheroes and creators from across the Marvel Universe. A lot of really big ones right now. I mean, Shang-Chi and Silk and Jimmy Woo.
Ms. Marvel.
We've got Jubilee. So this is going to be really cool. It's, just like the other ones, it is a bunch of little short stories involving these characters written by top creators. This one has Jean Luen Yang, Christina Strain, Maureen Gu, Greg Pak, and artists like Marcus Toad, Jason Liu, Will Spartaccio. So, I mean, I really commend them for this. A lot of times when you do these kind of anthology things, you'll open and like look at the name and be like, I don't recognize any of these people, because it's kind of like a testing ground or something, but it's like, no, for these they got in some of the biggest names. I mean, have Will Portacio working on it is a big deal.
Yeah.
So, sounds really cool. I'm excited to see kind of what characters other than those are included in this. There's always a couple of surprise ones.
That's what they said in the solicitation. They promised a surprise, but we'll see.
Yeah,
a surprise could be somebody has a surprise birthday party, and not necessarily a first appearance, but
Yeah. So then we have our B cover, just like all of these other covers that Inhyuk Lee is doing, celebrating like Asian culture. We have the Shang-Chi one here, really cool. Then we have the AHMED variant, the Gonzalez variant with Jubilee. And then, of course, Momoko. Really cool. Also, her signature circle or focused, very center look.
And then we got the eyeballs around the character, which would add that little bit of creepiness. It's like she put 5% Red Room into this one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Red Rooms.
Wow.
So next up is from Marvel, of course, Winter Guard. This is a 4-part miniseries, and it's going to feature Red Guardian and White Widow, Yelena Belova. So Alexei and Yelena together. Definitely some highlights of the movie. Everybody was great, but they were particularly excellent. So, of course, we got to follow up with a comic series. So, Red Guardian is hunting down 2 of Russia's dirtiest secrets, and the Winter Guard are going to come after them. And the solicitation has said, even the Red Room could not prepare them for the Winter Guard's retribution. Which, holy crap, if the Red Room cannot prepare you, then I don't know what can. So that is horrifying. Anyway, like I said, it promises to be a thriller, so pretty interesting. Hope it's good. And this is the A cover for it. Then we have the Lashley variant and the Headshot variant, looking rough and tough, ready to face whatever is being thrown at you.
Yeah.
I think this is cool, and I wonder if they kind of do this very subtly, but they kind of align the films with the comics. If we're going to get more that version of Red Guardian, that's kind of a little more adult, grown up, and
pudgy,
and stuck in the upside down, and thinking more of them as like his kids and all that. It'll be cool to see.
He really needed some updating. Like a lot has happened in his country that makes him feel really old hat at this point. So, okay, from DC, they are starting up Superman 78. So much like with Batman 89, where Batman 89 was following the Tim Burton movies, Superman 78 puts you back in the Richard Donner Superman universe, back from those old movies. That was like one of the first great superhero movies, that first Superman movie. So this is not a retelling of that. This is a new original story in the style of that beloved movie universe that Richard Donner created for Superman. So what I know about this is some drone aircraft lands and starts creating chaos, and Superman's trying to figure out what it is, where it's from. At the same time, there's a new villain who's never been in those movies. I mean, you and I know him, but who is Brainiac? You kind of see him on the cover right there. I do have to say, Brainiac has the sort of name that if you've not heard it before, he just sounds like a big nerd who needs like a super wedgie or something. But here is the A cover by Wilfred Torres.
You're such a bully.
I mean, have you guys noticed that? Like any superhero who's like strong, like Hulk, he's got the leader. That's the trope. Is you have a tough
brain
hero
against the brawn.
Yeah, with the brainy, angsty nerd who's evil. So this is the variant cover by Evan Doc Shaner,
which got your classic Reeves Superman in that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
What I always love about these is I know they're doing it with the Batman one, bringing in Two-Face, but it's like, what do these characters, what if they bring in Doomsday to this version? Like, what the redesigns and stuff for that is always fun to see. How would they have designed them? How would have translated? They did that with Batman 66 as well. They brought in like Clayface and characters that never appeared in the original one.
let them deal with the likes of Egghead.
Yes.
I'm a Vincent Price fan. What can I say?
Next up is one I love. My favorite character. A lot of people, when I say that, go, really? But yes, always been. So this is Aquaman 80th Anniversary 100-page super spectacular. So Aquaman has been around for 80 years, first appearing in More Fun Comics number 73, alongside Green Arrow in that same issue. So he's finally hitting the big 8-0. This is going to be a big book, kind of with each writer and artist tackling a different era of Aquaman. So we have people in it like Dan Jurgens, Jeff Johns, who wrote the great New 52 run of Aquaman, Brandon Thomas, Chuck Brown, Stephanie Phillips, Becky Cloonan, Francis Manapul, and then you have artists like Steve Epting, Paul Pelletier, Valentin DeLandro, Doc Shaner. So they're bringing in a lot of big people, and I got to see some free preview pages of this. One of my favorite things is they haven't forgot about some of the lesser-known Aquaman things. Like, it even has the Aquaman from, it's Aquaman Volume 2, but it's when he had that crazy costume that looked like waves with the light blue, white, and purple costume. That completely, like...
I haven't thought of that in ages.
Yeah, it was only maybe 4 or 5 issues long, but this is exploring all of it. And not only Aquaman, of course you're going to get Black Manta, Mera, Tempest, Aqualad, Ocean Master, all of those really, really cool ones. And we do know that we are getting a Ocean Master miniseries and a Black Manta miniseries, so I think we are amping up to launch a new Aquaman series sometime soon. It looks like they're...
It sounds like it.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the writers in this is going to be the writer for the ongoing. They'll do that sometimes, slip them in, and maybe this will be where they lay kind of the foundation for their story going forward. So, of course, we've got this main cover, which is the Ivan Rice cover. Then we have, all these covers are so good. So this is they're doing the Decades variant. So this is the Michael Cho 1940s cover. I love even the coloring is a little kind of washed out on that.
Yep.
Then we have the Ramona Friedman and Sandra Hope 50s variant.
Riding the Manta Ray.
Yes. Then we have the Walter Simonson 60s cover.
So, like, that's the first time I saw that one, and I was like, where's Aquaman? And I think that was the point of it.
He's halfway in that Kraken's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Garcia Lopez 70s cover. Then the Chuck Patton and Kevin Nolan 80s. Then one I have a strong feeling for, because I always loved this version of Aquaman. This is the Vel Gichet 90s variant. Of course, that's the 90s.
Yep, for sure.
Then you have the Becky Cloonan, 2000s variant. And then finally, the Robson Roca, who just passed away recently, but it's awesome that he worked on Aquaman during the Kelly Sue DeConnick run, and he did get to put out this final cover for the 2010s Aquaman.
So I assume that this is going to be, what, a $9.99 book?
Yes.
It's so big.
$9.99, 100 pages.
So I can't emphasize this enough, but when DC puts these books out, it's really cool. They do the Decades covers. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of fun with them and talking about which ones we like and don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is for us retailers is we can't order 100 copies of each.
Yep.
So this, more than any other, probably today, you should tell wherever you shop which covers you want, because they're not going to order. It's just too much money to order too many of. So this is what our show's all about, to show you, to give you time. You have until, with us, you have until Sunday.
Yep.
I don't know how long you have with the person you go with, to tell them which ones you want, and then you're guaranteed to get them at cover price. I guess guaranteed to get them being the more important part.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Up next is Saint Mercy from Top Cow and Image. So this is kind of interesting. We're starting to see some, different forms of fantasy and different, it's not genres, but I'll just describe it. So it is The Incan Empire against the American West is the setting here. So, pretty uncommon. Not something you see very often. So, basically, to sum this up really quickly, one of our girls here in the back of this cover, I'm assuming, is in charge of protecting a cache of cursed gold. So, that gold gets stolen, and of course the thieves are in for more than they expected. What happens when you steal some cursed gold? So we have a sort of revenge tale of hunting down to get this gold. So really interesting backdrop and premise all sort of set up here. So we'll see how it gets pulled off. This is going to be a 4-part miniseries, and we only have a B cover for us. This is A, and this is the B cover, B Parker cover.
It's a good B cover though.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of the normal face and the warrior on the other side.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a really neat premise.
Yeah, that's a mythology that we do not see people dive into too much.
Mythology.
Mythology, yeah.
Okay, so next up, we're doing our segment on other number ones. So we went through all the sort of featured ones. These ones we go through a little bit quicker. So starting with Spider-Man Life Story Annual number 1. So Spider-Man Life Story is over. This annual is actually returning us to that world for one last story. And it sounds like the sort of story I definitely want to pick up, because is it going to be a Spider-Man story, or who is that behind the bars there? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be a James Jonah Jameson story? J. Jonah Jameson, he is the character I love to hate. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man characters because he's so ridiculous,
he's so
over the
frustrating.
top. Yeah. So what I like about this is, so as with the life story things, it happens over an extended period of time, and it shows if Jonason's obsession with Spider-Man and trying to oust him, if it eventually bears fruit or if it eventually destroys him. I got to crack it open to see.
Yeah.
I just do.
That was a great
cover, too.
Yeah.
It really
was a really good series. Chip Zdarsky was now they're doing Fantastic Four life story, but the first one was Spider-Man life story, and really, really good.
And it has this variant by Mark Bagley.
Spider-Man's thinking, I could just kick him right in the back of the head, and then jump away, and he'd never know. And
notice that J. Jonah Jameson, he a little bit resembles what's his name?
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
I see some J.K. Simmons in there. Yeah.
Great casting. Next up is Avengers Annual number 1, and this is the final part of the Infinite Destinies storyline that's been going over all the different Marvel annuals. So I think this one's interesting because Cap and Iron Man go up against one of the Infinity Stone bearers that says beat them to within an inch of their life. So they're going up against, I guess, maybe the Power Stone. I don't know if we've seen that one yet. But also, now that this is the final part, I have a feeling we're going to get a sense of what's the end game for the Stones and where are they going next.
To Black Cat.
Yeah, so maybe this is kind of like puts them together and then Black Cat goes after that. We'll have to see. I think it's really cool, though. This will be a really good one to read also as a whole when they inevitably put it all out.
I'm on board. This is my new Heroes Reborn. This is the new, hey, there's some cool stuff going on that, it's not as flashy as some of the other things in the Marvel Universe, but the writers behind it, they seem like they care and they're building something. So.
And that they have a plan.
Yeah.
That's always the key thing, is when it's like, even though it's over a bunch of different books, they communicated and they've got an end game in mind.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, having annuals just be one-shot stories, that could be really good, but they had so many coming up. I think it's cool that for once they link them in this way.
And we also have the Connecting Ron Lim cover, so you can finally complete your big set, see what the big picture is.
All right, next up is Cable Reloaded. Big thing to take away here is this is a one-shot dealing with the Annihilation event. It's 40 pages. So double size, it's going to be $4.99. So Cable's got his guns. He's ready to deal with the deadliest planet in X history. That's what the solicitation is telling us. So once again, just a one-shot if you love Cable or want to get in on this Annihilation event. That is our A cover here. And then we have the super awesome.
Hanging with his best bro.
Yeah, Liefeld, 30th anniversary. It's going to be the 30th anniversary for the next 30 weeks, I think.
I also think it's cool. They've brought him back because we have Kid Cable for a while, But it's
we,
hard
we,
to
we kind of had both
Yeah.
for a minute too.
but it's hard to beat that like Duke Nukem version of Cable with
Yeah.
just the biggest of guns.
Grizzled.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Okay, so next up we have Mullet Cop.
Yes.
Do
That's
we
right.
ever?
I said Mullet Cop. This is from Scout Comics. So I'll just go ahead and put this out there. I think this is a comedy. Yes, it is a
But
comedy.
it's a police procedure.
Listen to the premise of this. So this cop goes undercover. He's a mall cop. He goes undercover as the manager of an all-you-can-eat buffet, and he teams up with a microwave they have that happens to be a supercomputer. I guess it knows how to heat everything just right, to take down a crime boss, a mall crime boss named Robo Granny. So I don't know. Some of you, you might be rolling on the floor thinking, "I got to see this." Those of you who are like, "What?" or "That's corny," or "That sounds like crap." Well, you know what? Maybe you'll like it anyway because it's 60 pages for $5.99.
Nice.
So it's at the very least, it's a one and done, big story. I bet you I'll be the one that has to read it here, so you'll probably be getting my review of it at some point.
60 pages of Mullet Madness.
Mullet Cop. Yep. I wonder why it didn't make our featured section.
I don't know. Next up is a interesting one. This is Tart, Demons and Demagogues #1. This was actually a Kickstarter that they are now putting out through Scout. And it's about a band of time travelers facing off against Hitler, demons, and creatures that they call toxic fruit. Art is really nice in it. I went back to the old Kickstarter page to see some of it and everything. Very interesting. Kind of talks about when they go into a timeline, they can't stay there long or they mess it up. Your classic time caper tropes, but sounds interesting. And it's cool that they are kind of mass putting it out now if you missed the Kickstarter.
All right, Transformers Shattered Glass. Okay, this is really cool. It's kind of like a play on Transformers lore. It's the solicitation of this kind of seems like it's a Marxist retelling of using, Transformers. So we have the Autobots as autocrats and the Decepticons as laborers. So it's going to be a 5-part miniseries. Sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, because typically the laborers are the good guys
Yeah.
when it comes to that sort of Marxist stuff. So setting the Decepticons up as the laborers, it sounds like they might be flipping the roles a little bit.
Yeah, just a different way to see, characters that you're super familiar with in a different light. So I always think that's cool. So hopefully it's done well, and just have this one cover to show you today. It's like, once again, 5-part miniseries.
Yeah, and they've been using, of course, the classic Transformers is Optimus Prime good, Megatron bad.
Right.
But they've kind of started to spin Megatron as like the hero of the people, and because some have the Allspark, some don't. It's kind of a storyline they've been dealing with lately. So it's cool that they're doing this extreme version of it.
Interesting. Okay, so from American Mythology Productions is Beyond the Farthest Star #1. This is the canonical continuation of Edgar Rice Burroughs' book. So I'm familiar with some of Burroughs' stuff. I know the Presumed series pretty well. I'm a big fan of John Carter or Deja Thoris. I've not read this. I've not read the book that this is going to continue. But I'm betting it's really good. Considering how good Burroughs stuff is. Apparently, he had written 2 books in this world that he was going to continue, but due to health problems, and he ended up in World War II, he just never was able to. So now they are continuing them in comics, and that is one beautiful thing about comics.
Yeah.
For not that much money, you can do things like this. Now, funny enough, it was adapted one other time in the 70s by Marv Wolfman. This one is written by Mike Wolfer. Conspiracy.
The wolves are working together.
Yep. So there you go.
Next up is Technofreak, issue 1 of 3. This is also another Kickstarter that follows John Sherlock, the Technofreak, and his French robot cat Maurice.
What about that?
Set in the 31st century, and he's kind of your classic cyborg character. He has implants that let him hack into electric systems, but at a cost. And what's also big about this is it has a backup story by Mike Carey, who we haven't seen Mike Carey in a while working in comics, so a lot of big fans of him will be excited about this. But sounds interesting, sounds weird, sounds freakish.
I see the French cat right there.
Uh-huh.
Alright, speaking of weird and freakish, Suicide Jockeys, #1. This is by Source Point Press, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know what the heck this is about. Except that I'm assuming it's a parody on Suicide Squad, because the solicitation it says the Suicide Jockeys are a poor, usually drunken, almost certainly mental ill crew of monster fighting, tank, and aircraft piloting suckers. So, we have a crew of suckers that have all sorts of problems, from self-inflicted to mental illness. So, definitely, it's written by Ryland Grant, who's a screenwriter, so the guy's got writing chops. So yeah, we'll see what's in store with this. If you want to just take a wild ride, it does not seem to be a Suicide Squad parody, although I do think there's got to be some elements of that in there. So yeah, and just the A cover on this.
You got to see what's up with those suckers.
Yeah, it sounds like the solicitation has something against them.
I know. Okay, so now we're at the section of the show we call Cool Covers and Other Comics. Now, what are other comics? Other comics issued #2s, #3s. You know, it's comics that aren't far along, and we want you to be able to tell wherever you shop to sign you up. You know, you read that #1, but you forget. It might not be on the shelf, the #2 or 3, if you don't remember. So we're going to shake you. We're going to remind you a little bit. Beginning with the United States of Captain America #3. So right on the cover, you see the new cap that our Cap will run into, and that'll help him in this issue. So this one, the shield thief who Captain and Falcon have been after, what does he do? He goes to a cultural landmark in Kansas where he targets it. I don't know if he steals from it or he messes it up, but Captain America is joined by Joe Gomez, that is the name of the other Cap you see there, who is the Captain America for the Kickapoo tribe of Indians. And they team up, but they head into what seems like a trap, which I'm not surprised. I've been reading the series, and you know, they're trying to mess up the name of Captain America, but at the same time, they're like several steps ahead. This is like a plan that they've done, and of course, Captain and Falcon don't have time to do anything except follow and fall into things and fight their way through. So that is the A cover, and then here is the design variant for Joe Gomez right there. I like seeing all these different Cap versions. I think it's really interesting.
Next up is #2 of Superman, Son of Kal-El. So we just got #1 this week. Really, really popular. You know, a lot of people trying out this new Superman title, and for good reason. It's super interesting now to see John Kent stepping up into the role of Superman. And what sounds interesting about this issue is John Kent is heading to college, which for one, I was like, I don't know if he's finished like 6th grade at this point, considering he was taken away and grew up and came back.
He's super advanced.
I guess so. But what it also says is something happens, there's an incident, and he has to basically expose himself as Superman.
Wow.
And a kind of a activist, maybe tabloid newspaper finds out, and we'll see what happens with that. But also, John Kent Superman has now inherited the Fortress of Solitude and all the fun things that come with it. So that's got to be pretty fun. You get to, you know, you finally get the keys to all the doors you were wondering what was behind them. He's going to explore the Fortress of Solitude. Then we have the B cover, the In-Hyuk Lee, kind of the family portrait. And then we have the Suicide Squad Bassery cover.
All right, next up we have Checkmate #3, right in the middle of the 6-part series. So this is the Matt Taylor cardstock variant. And what's going on in this one is Superman is finally going up against Leviathan. should be very interesting for those of you who have read the first 2 parts of this series. So once again, as Jason said in the beginning, sign up for it. Don't expect that number 3 to be waiting for you when you show up on the weekend of release week.
All right, also from DC, Wonder Girl number 3. I really like this cover. I like the next cover for it as well. So in this issue, Yara Flor, of course, she has begun her training to be Hera's champion. But what happens when Hera's grandson, Eros, who's basically the god of love, sets his sight on Yara to mess her up? Will he be able to charm the pants off her, mess her training up, or will she hold strong? You can see in the corner there it says, ensnared by Eros. So that's sort of the premise of this one. And then we have this B cover by Matteo Scalera, where she is just getting down.
Doing her rope tricks.
Yep, that's sort of her weapon as compared to the old style lasso.
Next, Batman Reptilian number 3. This series just keeps going in crazy places and also crazy covers. So, of course, there's this person or thing terrorizing the Gotham villain underground world and wiping out some pretty big key people in Batman's rogues gallery. And Batman still doesn't know who it is, so he's following the clues. And the clues do lead to Joker, but also it seems like whatever's doing this horrible thing to all the villains also has its sights set on Joker. So I feel like we're gonna collide in this issue.
I was going to say, this cover's great because we've seen Joker with the creepy grin, it goes too far and all this, but he does not look happy. It's rare that we see a terrified Joker on a cover.
And then we have our B cover, which is the Cully Hamner cover, and it looks like Batman's protecting Joker from some unseen monstrosity.
Yeah, look at that. I have to say, having read the first 2 issues, I can't imagine him protecting anyone, much less his villains. He probably just happens to be in between them. The way
he's about to grab Joker and throw him in front.
The way that Garth Ennis is writing this,
All right, another cover we want to feature for you guys this week. Really cool, almost like night vision looking cover for Detective Comics 1042. This is the cover B by Lee Bermejo. Nope. Am I on the right thing? Yes, I am on the right thing. Yes.
That is clearly Lee Bermejo.
Everything my eyes aren't lying to me, but my notes are lying to me. So anyway, yes, really cool cover. Almost looks like he's being zoomed in.
I can't tell if it's like a security camera, which is not going to last. Batman will not let himself be seen on security camera, so he's about to battering that thing.
It's probably Mr. Worf's people, because there's also people behind with guns that look like security people. So, okay, so this is the Derek Chew cover for Harley Quinn number 6. Harley is going to be joined by Catwoman in this issue. So that's pretty cool. Catwoman coming back to Gotham. Probably not even going to say hi to Bruce or anything. But she's going to help Harley in this issue to fight some of the Magistrate's goons. And then we also have the C cover by Federici.
Really nice.
Yep.
Very good likenesses.
Suicide Squad cover, of course.
Next up is Icon and Rocket number 2. Another book we just got the number 1 of. Jason read that one. You like that one? So
good origin issue.
Yeah.
It's definitely them meeting up and showing how different their past. I mean, this guy's an alien who's been hiding his powers for ages, and she's just with this kind of gangsta gang who just treats her bad and disrespects her.
Yeah, they talked about this. The writer talked about how these were created by Dwayne McDuffie, and when he talked to him about this, Dwayne McDuffie's passed now, but back in the day, that the whole idea of these is he's old, she's young, he's an alien, she's human. It's kind of this, they're opposites on a team together. And this issue sounds interesting because the government is coming after her because they know that she's friends with him. So what good are secret identities when people know who you're associated with and they can find you? So sounds really cool. This is still just going to be a mini series, and definitely want to put it on your pull list if this is a series you want to keep up with, because stores will probably get a few extra number 2s by the time we get to number 3s, orders still drop off even more. So
Yep. You pretty much support and vote for whatever comics you want by putting it on your sub list.
Yeah.
It's like a vote to keep the comic in your store.
Mhm.
And honestly, more people end up reading it, the more people subscribe to it. So because us retailers see a big number and we order a percentage over that number. So.
All right, next up is Infinite Frontier number 5, the penultimate issue of this series. This is the cover C, John K. Snyder III, featuring King Shark. Looks like we also have Rick Flag and Ratcatcher 2.
2. Ratcatcher 2. They're very specific that it's 2.
So yeah, really cool cover for Infinite Frontier number 5.
It's like every artist doing the variant covers for the Suicide Squad are like, yeah, but King Shark's going to be on mine.
Exactly.
They all got King Shark.
Okay, so this is the Francis Manapul variant for Robin number 5. I think this cover is great. Just really cool cover. I like what they do with the colors to it. I like the playfulness of the bubble, but the character's not playful. Notice the blood. You know, she's in the tournament with everyone. They're all trying to kill each other. I have a feeling she probably kills somebody this issue. Anyhow, Robin gets a visit from all the other Robins. We're talking about Nightwing, Tim Drake, Red Hood, and Spoiler. They all come to the island to try to talk him into coming back to Gotham. Like, this is all in the solicitation, so I'm not spoiling anything here. That's what it says. If you read last issue, it was kind of leading up to that. But, of course, Robin's not ready to leave the tournament. In fact, he's willing to fight all 4 of them to stay, which I'm not surprised about. So I've been enjoying this a whole lot. Looking forward to this issue as well.
These Manapul covers are killing it.
Yeah, Flatline, really neat character. I hope they do more with her. If anything, she's been in it a good bit, but I wish she were in even more, to tell you the truth.
Next up is Wonder Woman 778. This is the Becky Cloonan variant. And this one sounds cool. I've really enjoyed the... of course, she was in like Norse mythology, and then she's kind of been through the kind of pseudo fairy tale. This one is like, and all the rest, because she is going to take a trip with her allies through all corners of the multiverse map. She's going to the Phantom Zone, the Fifth Dimension, which is, of course, where Batmite is from, and Gem World. So she's hitting a couple more of those different worlds on her kind of odyssey back home to Earth.
All right, Alien number 6. Man, this has been such a hit at our shop. Like, I should not have been surprised, but it still has been. So, Alien number 6. This is the end of a story arc, and the question is, can anything be saved? The Epsilon station is losing its orbit. Gabriel Cruz is losing his son. How is it going to shake out? So once again, end of the story arc here. This is our A cover. Then we have the La Roca variant. And then lastly, the U variant.
Giving every great artist a chance to draw an
that
alien on
new,
a cover.
The like alpha alien that they've introduced.
All right, so Amazing Fantasy number 2 is up for order this week. Number 1 dropped. I had no idea what to expect of it, and I can't say I have any idea what's going to happen going forward. Of course, you got World War II Captain America. You've got Teenage Spider-Man. So it's drawing these characters from whatever time that they want to draw them from. And it's Black Widow back when she was in spy school. And each one seems to have found a tribe that sort of fits them. And so with this issue, they are wondering if they can skirt around this impending war that seems to be building. So really cool series so far. Very just sort of high fantasy what if.
Yeah, especially with Captain America. He's looking very barbarian-ish.
Yeah. So that is the A cover. Here is the Andrews variant. And we have the Peach Momoko variant.
Yeah, with that younger Black Widow. And it's crazy, the A cover and the B cover, same artist. Very different styles. Kari Andrews is bringing, each part has a very different look to it. Next up we have Amazing Spider-Man 72, continuing the Baldion handbook variants, this time with Vulture. So we have that one, and then there is also this beautiful silk In-Hyuk Lee variant. All of these have been so nice, and I really like the Psylocke from a few weeks ago, and I think the silk one is really nice too.
All right, next up we probably should have grouped these together, but this is the Wolverine In-Hyuk Lee cover, and of course featuring Jubilee.
Wolverine's buddy from the TV show.
Sidekick. So yeah, really good cover on that one.
Okay, so this is the A cover to Black Widow number 10. They keep doing them of this style where they put the title just somewhere.
I like
Look
it.
at the windows. Yeah, so these are just great. So this is just the A cover for it. They are saying that this is sort of a celebratory issue in that it is Black Widow's 50th issue legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, if you take all the series she's ever had, this is the 50th issue.
I'm surprised by that.
If you look at it that
I know,
way.
you'd think with all the series she's had, but
They were all mini-series. You know, the most I think ever really went to 12. A lot of them just went like 6 issues, and some went even just 4 issues.
Yeah.
So this is the last part of the AAPIH arc that's been going on. We're going to finally find out who AAPIH is. Andy and I were discussing it. I told him all the clues that I read at the end. If you read the last one, it ends with a bunch of clues, and I found the character that kind of matches. I don't know, but it would be so far removed. I doubt it's that character. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing who AAPIH is, and they also claim in the solicitation that they promise a new power will emerge. Whatever that means. And here we have the Mark Brooks variant. I'm just a sucker for anything Mark Brooks does.
I mean, it's so big that this series, every issue, Adam Hughes has done the cover, and then you have people like Mark Brooks doing the variant cover.
Yeah.
It's like Marvel's putting a lot of emphasis on this Black Widow title.
They really are. And then here is the NetEase game variant.
I like this one because it definitely gives you the spy feeling of
That's what I was going to say.
She was undercover at this party, and
Mm-hmm.
it all went crazy.
Dressed to the nines, and then the danger went to level 10.
Then flips the table. And next up is Star Wars Darth Vader number 15. Of course, this is the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary cover by Chris Sprouse, celebrating Episode 1 here. Anytime Darth Maul's on a cover, it's a hot cover, and this one looks really, really nice. Then we have, of course, the Wanted poster with Kira on there, and that's one thing. They're all going for the same amount. I want to see really.
I noticed because I figured Afro would probably be wanted a little bit more, but
yeah. But then this is Dr. Aphra number 13, the Wanted poster variant. These are going to look great all together. Also, there is a Lucasfilm 50th anniversary cover for this, but it was not ready in time. But if you're getting all of those have been really fun because they have kind of broken out of just main Star Wars. And just this last week, we got one based on the Ewoks cartoon. We've got it based on the Droids cartoon. There's a lot of underrepresented Lucasfilm things, and I'm waiting for all of the live-action Ewok movies to get their time in the sun.
All right, next up is Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads number 2. This one might have flown under your radar, but this is a 5-part miniseries featuring unrevealed tales from Peter Parker and the symbiote's past. So in this one in particular, of course we're featuring Black Cat here. She has to help find Spidey, who is missing at this moment, with the help of a certain Sorcerer Supreme. So really interesting, alternative tale Spidey stuff.
And we were talking about, like, why just say Sorcerer Supreme? I mean, of course you're going to be like, oh, Doctor Strange, but I was having to think, like, was he Sorcerer Supreme during the time frame of the black suit? I know, like, Voodoo has been him for a while.
Yeah.
A bunch of people have been Sorcerer Supreme. So.
If you know, tell us in the comments.
Yes.
All right, so this is Thor number 16, the Rob Liefeld Deadpool 30th anniversary variant. Because, you know, Deadpool's just always hanging out with Thor.
They love each other. Thor, he doesn't bother Thor at all.
So in this issue, this series is just a 3-issue arc called Revelations. And I think a lot is being said by the title of that. So last issue, Thor is kind of coming to grips with the fact that he can no longer wield his hammer the way he wants to, which means he can't quite be the warrior he wants, or possibly a warrior at all anymore. So just two things for him to wrestle with: not being able to use the hammer well, and not being a warrior. You know, possibly having to be something different. You know, and they promise to uproot Thor's entire world by the end of this. So 3 issues to set something new in motion before a larger arc, I think.
I like this cover too, because it looks like Deadpool found Thor at like a convention. It's like, can I get a picture with you? And so someone's taking a picture of them together.
And then here is the Peach Momoko cover.
I'm going to have to buy this one, because Vader A. Bill.
And then here is the NetEase variant. A lot of light going on there.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who some of the other characters are. Next up is a big anniversary. It's a pretty big deal when a independent comic reaches issue 25. That's you know, for indie comics, they're happy to get past their, you know, their initial 6 issues.
Especially an anthology.
I was
An
gonna
anthology
say,
is
indie
New
anthology.
characters every issue practically.
So this is Ice Cream Man number 25. And just like all Ice Cream Man, this is a standalone story with a little hint of, you know, how it's tied in with the other ones. But this one, as you can see on the cover, pretty scary if you're afraid of flying.
Yeah, that plane is not pointed the right way. You see just a little bit of ground in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
You see the
fire.
smoke coming from the back of the plane.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's a good Ice Cream Man cover, is when at first glance it seems, oh, that's kind of happy coloring, but the more you look at it, the more you're like, this is terrifying.
Yeah. So that is our A cover. And then we have the Thorogood variant, because it's real easy to tell what's, you know, this just seems like a nice normal summer, kids out getting some ice cream. Then they managed to make ice cream look really gross somehow. This is the Shimizu variant.
I'd eat it.
Your standards for like when ice cream is inedible is
it's
pretty
pretty
low.
low.
Then we have the Simmons variant, of course, Simmons of Department of Truth fame.
That reminds me of the Endless Staircase portraits, or
But just teeth
painting.
instead.
Exactly, yeah.
And then finally, I think a lot of people really want this one. This is the wraparound cover. So this is, I'm surprised this isn't the A cover, because usually they do this to kind of celebrate the anniversaries. But
Lots of characters from lots of different issues.
yeah.
I even see a clown in there. Possibly a
Oh.
little haha nod.
Oh, interesting.
Haha, no.
Yeah, because Haha number 6 did the homage to Ice Cream Man number 1, and it was very similar, so I would not be surprised. Alright, next up is Killadelphia number 16, another indie that's pretty deep. Pretty deep in. So the reason we're highlighting this is this variant cover here is by James O'Barr. James O'Barr, of course, of the Crow fame. So if you're a Crow fan, which many, many folks are, especially around here, you won't want to miss this one.
This could easily just be a Crow cover, or like a heavy metal cover that he would have done the cover for.
So this is the Windguard B cover variant for Department of Truth number 12. So in this issue, Cole Turner is approached by somebody who claims to know the true history of America, who wants to give him a history lesson.
Just what we need, another version of the story. He's probably like, nah, I've got enough. I've got enough in my brain.
And here is the C cover for that by Campbell.
Next up is definitely a series that has made it a long way. This is Die. This is the B cover, and this is by Jenny Frison. Really pretty.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Something is Killing the Children, number 19. Man, we really started this off. This is just a slew of indies in a row that have performed so well. No short part to James Tynion. So number 19, the A cover, and Something's Killing the Children is doing something interesting, in my opinion. They're not stopping, but at least for the past couple issues, there's no variant covers. It's almost as if, let's not flood the market and make this annoying to people. Let's pull it back and make this interesting. There is a ratio cover, but it's just the A cover on this one.
Yep.
It's very interesting A cover. I mean, it's so bright, and if you didn't know better, you'd think it's other than the title, a happy book.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is issue number 2 for Sweet Paprika, which began this week. Of course, this is Mirka Andolfo's new creator-owned book. So if you enjoyed number 1, this is your chance to sign up for number 2. In this one, Paprika has to go to sort of a work dinner where being relaxed is just as important as being competent. And to make matters worse and to make it harder for her to relax at this and thus perform well, she sees somebody who she never wanted to see again. I'm betting some sort of ex-boyfriend, something of that sort.
Yeah, and she also doesn't know how to relax. Yeah. She spent her life not relaxing. So,
So yeah, very terrible situation for her. There are several covers on this. This is the Andolfo cover, the A cover. Here is the Stefan Sajic B cover.
So we just see like a character, Mirka Andolfo, so kind of cartoony and over the top, to see Sajic that does such realism. You're like, oh, that's what she would look like.
And then here is the C cover by March. Here is the D cover by Hickenbottom.
Speaking of bottoms.
Oh.
And here is another one by Andolfo. It is, as you can see, a not safe for work cover. So that's all of it you can see.
Depending on where you work, I guess.
And if you missed issue number 1, they're doing a second print for issue number 1 right here.
Next up is Mother of Madness number 2. So, I mean, we've talked about this book so much, not even on the show, like just
trying to figure out what it's going to be.
Around the old water cooler. It's kind of interpreting that issue number 1 and kind of what the overall story is. So the first issue was definitely kind of an origin setup issue. This one looks like we're getting more into our main character being this hero, because it talks about her schedule of like have the kids in bed by 8 and then evil never sleeps or something like that. So be interesting to see kind of what her, what is she more like? Is she like a vigilante like Batman? Is she a big in-your-face hero like Superman? It'll be cool to see, but this is the main cover for number 2. Then we have a Lotte cover that was not ready yet.
Yeah, just want people to know in case they're trying to order everything.
And then, very interesting, it doesn't fit with like how the main covers have been. This is the Ferris cover, but it kind of hints to one of her powers, which is her stretchiness.
I was going to say it's part of the madness part of Mother of Madness.
Yeah, she at one point it shows her where she's like laying on a couch, and then she realizes she has this power, and part of her is like glooping off the side of the couch. So it's a nice representation.
All right, next up is Spawn 321, another series that is just going. Not even in numbers, but I mean in popularity. So a lot of new awareness.
I'd about to say, no other indie book can be like, oh, look how far we are. No, they are the top.
Level. All right, so what's happening in this issue? A small town loses electricity, and when the electricity is restored, everyone's disappeared. So really interesting premise. So Spawn has to begin a hunt to find these missing people.
This Spawn looks a little overkill for some outages and some missing people.
He's got to take it back every once in a while.
He doesn't know what he's going to be stepping into, so full armor.
That was the A cover, and so up next is the McFarlane B cover. He's working on a lot of stuff, guys. He didn't have time to get this ready yet. He'll have it done.
He missed his deadline, but you can still order this cover.
He might fire himself.
Then we have the Matina variant.
Spooky.
Your eyes have to adjust to the darkness to see it all. So, okay, so next up, this is the C cover by Lee and Chung for Sonya Versal number 7. I thought I'd put this on here because that is Yella Sonya on the cover. She's she's the Sonya.
It's hard to say it
from the steampunk universe. So if you want to know what Red Sonya would be like in a steampunk universe, this is her. She's going to be in the issue too. Here's your chance to ask your store for it if you think that's cool.
Next up is Dark Blood number 2. This is the A cover by Delandro, who I believe is the interior artist as well. And this is big because, Boom put the number one to second printing even before the number one came out. We'll be looking at the second print or the third printing of number one here in just a little bit, but definitely want to jump on these really hot Boom series when they're early because we know how hard it is to get books like Something is Killing the Children once they've taken off.
All right, next up is Siphon number 2. This is just a 3-part miniseries from Image and Top Cow. So basically, our character can siphon pain from others, and there comes a heavy burden with being able to do that. So that's the premise of this 3-part miniseries. This is the A cover.
All right, so this is issue number 2 of Horizon Zero Dawn Liberation. So it's the further adventures of Aloy and Erend in that video game world that so many people know so well. So just, if you read the number 1 on that series, don't want people to miss out, especially these video game series. They just sell out and people come in like 3 weeks later asking about number 2s and 3s. So here's your chance to put that on order.
Ninjak number 2, the big relaunch of one of Valiant's biggest characters. Ninjak number 2, this is the A cover by Nakayama.
All right, if you are reading Everfrost from Black Mask, this is the number 3, and as we've been saying, this, especially with indie series, you may not see this on the shelves, so put your order in if you're reading it.
And this is the 3rd issue of Barbaric. So same deal with the other number 2s and 3s, just want you to be aware of that so you don't forget if you were on the fence as to whether you're going to sign up or what you're going to order. This is the end of the first arc. The first arc of Barbaric is just a 3-issue arc, so it's going to continue past that. But this is just the end of the first little story, which has our main character in a very grim position. So,
next up is Good Luck number 3. This is the A cover. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries, but if you support it, just like a lot of Boom series, it could go further. And a lot of talk has sprung up about Good Luck this week with is there secretly some special variant covers out there, some foil variant covers. So it seems like there's been a lot of talk about Good Luck. So if you want to check out what it's been about, definitely want to sign up for the series.
And if you want to hunt and rifle through our shelves, I am 99% sure I can recall those foil covers out there, so come and check it out.
Well, it was, just to be clear, so there are 3 different covers, and 2 of them had foils, and the 3rd didn't. And the secret one is they supposedly slipped 50 copies. This is in a print run of 30,000 of the 3rd cover foil. So yeah, you will see foils. You're looking for the Perel cover in foil. That's the one you won't
We need
see.
to go check that afterwards, guys.
So.
All right, next up is Vinyl number 3, following the Sunflower Cult 6-part mini-series here. So we've had a lot of people picking up the number 1s, at least on our shelves lately, getting into this late. So number 3 is already coming, so sign up.
So this is what happens when you get sprayed by a skunk. You have to take a bath
in
tomato juice.
Yes.
But the secret little sunflowers in there, that helps with the scent.
That does. Yep. Okay, so this is the last issue of Cult of Dracula. This is number 6. It is the final issue of the series by Rich Davis, who's kind enough to stop by our shop early on. Really interesting, cool guy. I like this cover a lot. And the solicitation says that endings never go as expected. And I think that's a good way to write them. If it's just what you think, then, it's no fun. So just everybody, you may want to catch the last issue of this.
Finally.
Yes. Our last section.
Not quite.
We don't have any graphic novels, but we do have some other printings.
We do have one graphic novel.
One graphic novel.
At the very end.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Graphic novels and more. Okay.
One of our big things is Dark Blood number 1, our 3rd print. We were talking about this earlier, where you had the 2nd print that was already solicited before number 1 even came out. That's how much faith Boom had in the series. So now we got the 3rd print coming out. So if you're going to collect all of them, you'll definitely want to sign up for this. Because of that, stores may not order too many of these because they've already had a 2nd print they could have ordered. So if you want to get them all, make sure you let them know that you want the 3rd print.
You're exactly right. So we ordered a lot of the 1st print. We had to order second print before first even hit. We ordered some of that, and now we're having to order this one without a cover.
Yeah.
I can't even see us ordering any of this. So if you're one of our customers and want this, please tell us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to order a lot of this one. Like, I don't know why they're doing it this way, but I'm sure there's a plethora of reasons. It's not typical of Boom. Boom usually does a good job about things.
All right. We Live number 4, second printing.
This is crazy that, like, this series has been over for months and months, and that's not even the final issue. We've gotten multiple printings of the final issue. Now they're going back and doing another printing of the 4th issue.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, you know, because they're doing another series.
Yeah.
And so people are excited and going back trying to get these before this next series starts after the big reveal of issue 5. So, okay, and the last thing we're going over today is Falcon Sphere, the only graphic novel on our list. Why? Because it is created and written and done by Mike Mignola. He is working with Warwick Johnson Caldwell. This is an eerie Victorian style mystery. So it's pretty much about like a monster hunting team. And this is like years after they're done being a team. Some of the members come back together and they're like, hey, whatever happened to our vampire hunter friend? We haven't seen them in a while. You know what? Let's get back together. Let's find our vampire hunter friend. I mean, what are the chances are that he's a vampire at this point, or who knows what? When it comes to Mignola, you know, it's never going to be that straightforward, though. So I like Mignola. It seems like at this point in his career, he just does what he wants to do, which is really cool. You know, when an artist is creating just sort of for themselves, more than trying to make big sales. I think he's past that point.
Yeah.
So that's why we always like to tell people about this stuff. It doesn't ever seem to have like huge print runs, but the people who like it.
Yeah, it's a certain tone that like you can only get from a Mike Mignola project. And since Hellboy's been over, people are just eating up whatever comes next.
Yep. So this is a hardcover, and it is just $17.99.
All right, guys. Well, that is our show for this week. Thank you for checking us out for Comics from the Future. If you have not yet, or if you have skipped the beginning, please take a second to subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it, and you can keep getting great content like this, where we hopefully give you some good advice and make you aware of what is coming out.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.